Hi, my name is Courtney Reed, and I'm here today to talk to you about the effects that divorce has on teens in America. In America, divorce has recently soared to new heights. In 2004, the U.S. Census stated that there were 2,279 people in marriages. In 2005, just a year later, there were only 2,230 people involved in marriages, despite a 2.9 million person increase. 63% of the children in America live with both biological parents, whereas 1/4 of the population, ages 18 to 44, are children of divorce. Everyone is affected by divorce, but adults and children internalize divorce very differently. Adults typically take 1 year for every 5 years that they're married to grieve and recover from a divorce, where children can take a few months to decades. Oprah recently featured a show entitled Adult Children of Divorce, where adults who had been in divorce were still affected by it 20 and 30 years later. Unfortunately, there are no set statistics that describe the effects that divorce has on children. There's only been one long-term study done, and that was by Wallerstein in the 1970s. She conducted the one and only long-term study that lasted 25 years and involved 60 families. In her study, she found that teens from divorce typically did more poorly in school, battled addictions, and suffered from violent behaviors and in violent relationships. Academically, parents who have been through a divorce don't have the time or the energy to devote to staying on top of their kids' schoolwork. This creates a lack of motivation in their child, and they also have more independence, so they don't have to do their school, and their grades usually slip. Social growth is also stunted during this time. Two-thirds of the children in Wallerstein's study demonstrated above average work competence level. 40% functioned well socially. And only 1/3 of these 40% went to therapy for their issues. Kids are also less likely to attend college if their parents have been through a divorce due to financial reasons. 90% of the fathers of intact families provided for their children's college expenses, where only 30% provided for their children if they were from divorce. A lot of times, addictive behaviors plague children of divorce. Drugs, sex, alcohol, and violence are the behaviors that I'm going to talk about today. One-half of the teens in the Wallerstein study were involved in drugs and alcohol as early as age 14. Many kids got involved in drugs and alcohol before the age of 14. Girls were more prone to sexual behaviors in the Wallerstein study. By the time that they were in 7th and 8th grade, 25% of the girls were sexually involved. By the time they were in 9th and 10th grade, 50% of the girls in the Wallerstein study were sexually involved. I believe that this is because of the lack of father influence in the girls' lives. I think that a lot of times during divorce, the girls have a void in their life, and they tend to seek it, to fill it through sexual activity. Another issue is the violence. Girls and boys are both affected by violence. Out of the Wallerstein study, abusive homes, 1/2 of the girls and boys were in abusive relationships 10 years after their parents' divorce. All of the boys were the perpetrators, and only 3/4 of the girls were the perpetrators. Out of these 3/4, 1/4 of the girls were physically violent towards their boyfriends, and 20% of the girls in the Wallerstein study were in abusive relationships 10 and 15 years after their parents' divorce. Drugs, in the drug category, half of the children were in, okay, I'll edit it out. Okay, the good news though is that a lot of times teens can get through divorce successfully and live happy, healthy lives. Thank you. The end.
Very good.